So, what's the secret weapon that keeps the world's best athletes in the game? It's not just raw talent or endless training, it's a super detailed playbook. Today, we're going to peek inside the world of sports physiotherapy to see exactly how they tackle injuries, recovery, and that constant push for peak performance.
We've all been there, right? Holding our breath as a star player takes a hit. The game just stops, the cameras zoom in, but the real action, the complex dance of assessment and recovery, that all starts the second they leave the field. So what really happens in those first few crucial moments?
I love this quote from sports physio Kane Humphrey because it just completely shatters a common myth. We all have this image of wet sponges and massages, right? Well, forget that. The reality of this job is this incredible mix of hard science, strategic thinking, and a really deep human connection.
So, if it's not just about sponges, what's actually in that toolkit? Let's take a look, and I think you're going to be pretty surprised by just how extensive and high-tech it all is.
You see, a modern sports physio wears a ton of different hats. They're part diagnostician, for sure, and a rehab specialist, but they're also an educator, a coach, and even a scientist. And every single one of these roles is absolutely critical to get an athlete back to being their best.
Okay, to really understand how all these roles fit together, let's kind of walk through a day at the clinic. You'll see that the whole process always starts with a personal touch.
This quote is just perfect because it shows you the incredible level of detail that goes into their work. I mean, everything from where the chairs are placed to how the room is organized, it's all designed to put the patient at ease and help the physio give them their 100% undivided attention. And this is absolutely crucial. Before any of that fancy equipment even gets switched on, the most powerful tool they have is just listening. A simple question, like, how has training been going, can unlock pretty much all the information they need to guide the entire assessment. 90%.
All right, so now let's see how we build from that initial conversation into a full-blown assessment. This is where the art of listening really meets the hard science of diagnosis.
This slide breaks it down perfectly. You've got two sides of the same coin here. On one side, there's the subjective. That's the athlete's story, right? What they're feeling, what their goals are. But then you flip it over and you've got the objective, the cold, hard data from measurable tests using tools that can precisely measure muscle strength. It's when you bring these two together, the story and the science, that you get the complete picture.
So, how do they organize all this information? Well, one really cool tool is this traffic light system. It gives you a simple, immediate visual of where an athlete's at. Green means they're good to go. Yellow's a heads up, maybe they need to modify training. And red, well, red means a full stop, no athletic activity.
And that data doesn't just sit there. It feeds right into a very structured decision-making model, like this 3-step process from the Sports Authority of India. It's just a super logical progression. First, you figure out the athlete's current health. Second, you assess the specific risks of them going back to their sport. And only then, with all that info in hand, do you make that final return-to-play decision.
So once that decision is made, the road to recovery begins. And let me tell you, if you thought the assessment was detailed, the rehab process is on a whole other level of meticulous.
The entire goal is defined by this one term, return to play, or RTP. And the most important phrase here is without undue risk. See, it's not just about getting back on the field, it's about getting back safely. And to guarantee that safety, the screening process is just exhaustive. We're talking a deep dive into an athlete's entire history, documenting every single significant injury for every part of the body. Absolutely nothing gets overlooked. Then they move into the physical exam. And again, every joint's flexibility, every muscle stability, every single movement pattern gets tested, measured, and recorded.
I mean, from the explosive power in the hamstrings down to the most subtle imbalances in the shoulder. No detail is too small to be analyzed. This is what a truly comprehensive screening of the body's movement system looks like.
And here's a really important point. A physio doesn't do this alone. The final return-to-play decision is a massive team effort. This checklist shows you how everyone gets involved, from the sports medicine doctor and the psychologist to the nutritionist and, of course, the head coach. The physio is a key player, but they are part of a much larger team.
So, when you put it all together, you really start to see that the role of a sports physiotherapist is so much more than meets the eye. They're a coach, a scientist, and a health guardian, all rolled into one. The whole job really rests on these 4 pillars. It starts with trying to stop injuries before they even happen. That's risk mitigation. When they do happen, it's about quick, smart intervention. Then, of course, is the detailed rehabilitation. But here's the part people often forget: performance enhancement. This isn't just about getting back to where you were, it's about making an athlete stronger, faster, and more resilient than before the injury.
But all the science and planning in the world means nothing if the athlete doesn't buy in. This quote brings us right back to that human element. The physio's job as an educator is just so important. If the patient understands the why behind the what, they're way more likely to actually stick with the plan.
And this is where the real coaching comes in. A great physio adapts their communication style to each person. For one athlete, a detailed written program is perfect. For another, it might be a bunch of videos or even simple voice notes they can listen to on the go. It's all about making the plan work for that specific person.
And that really brings us to the final, and maybe the most crucial question at the very heart of this profession. In a world that's all about results, the sports physio stands right at that crossroads between winning now and making sure an athlete has a healthy future. Finding that balance, well, that's their ultimate challenge, and it's their greatest contribution.